Hey, Apple, either you made a big mistake or you're a thief. Which one is it? How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the U.S. International Trade Commission blocking Apple from selling two of their Apple Watch products, namely the Apple Watch Series 9 and the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Now, I'm wearing the first Apple Watch Ultra. I like the watch a lot. I'm not even an Apple fanboy, but it's very productive, very expensive. We'll get to that in a minute. But I get my steps on here from working out. I get my emails. I get all kind of stuff right here on this watch. It's very productive for me. And unfortunately, if you live in the US and you want to buy the Series 9 or the Ultra 2, the updated version of this, you can't do it in the US. If you go to an Apple store in New York, LA, Atlanta, wherever, you're not going to be able to buy it. If you go to apple.com and try to buy it there, you're not going to be able to buy it. Now, I'm not sure about Canada, Mexico, other countries. If you go there, maybe you'll be able to buy it. But the U.S. has banned it from import and from being able to be sold online in this country. Why? Well, what they did was basically steal hardware, allegedly. So a medical company has a blood oxygen sensor that Apple allegedly took and just put into the watch without clearing it with the company first. Now, I don't know how that mistake got made. Again, either it's a mistake or somebody just stole. You can't just take stuff like that and put it into your device without clearing it. I'm sure there's a lot of different things in this device that do not belong to Apple outright and have to license it. They have to buy it, maybe even acquire a company to be able to use it. This is why companies like Google, etc., have a lot of different things like Google Maps. I'm sure they had to acquire a company to get that started, because I don't think Google just had all this stuff already ready and they can't just go out and steal it. China does that, but different story. I digress. Here's the issue. Since there's a dispute over the hardware, not just software, but hardware by the medical company, Apple cannot sell these watches in the US at all. Now, before I go any further, let's get into an actual news clip. If you want to see the clip in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
All right, welcome back to Money Movers. An import ban on some Apple Watches going into full effect today. This after President Biden decided to let a ruling stand by a trade tribunal. Our Steve Kovac breaks down the impact to Apple and what's next in today's Tech Check. Steve?
Hey there, Frank. Yeah, well, the Biden administration did not give Apple what it was looking for Christmas. Biden's U.S. Trade Representative Office did not veto the U.S. International Trade Commission's decision to ban Apple Watch sales by the deadline yesterday.
So let's pause right here. So the ITC made a decision, and then it was up to the Biden administration to veto it, but they didn't do it by the deadline, which was Christmas Day. So I suppose if it was vetoed by then you could have purchased the Apple Watch online, maybe even gone to the store. Because I'm not quite sure if any watches exist in the U.S. Maybe they're held up at customs. Because they probably made it in China. So they're probably held up in customs and they can't come into the country. I'm not sure how that works. Maybe if the veto was granted, you could have gone to the store. They could have got them from the back and sold it to you. Or you could have bought it online. I'm not really sure. Let's keep on going.
Christmas Day. The ban goes into full effect starting today, and it stems from a patent dispute of the blood oxygen sensor brought against Apple by the health tech company Masimo. Now, Apple says it is working to make changes to the Apple Watch so it doesn't violate those Masimo patents, and it hopes to start selling those watches again soon. And just last hour, Frank, it filed an appeal asking for a stay on the ban until Customs and Border Control determines if patents were actually violated.
Let's pause right there. So if they appeal and they get a stay on the ban, basically the ban won't go into effect. The ban paperwork of it, the framework of it could still be there, but it wouldn't go into effect. There's a stay put on it. And they want time to get the border control to actually inspect the watch to see if the hardware sensor does in fact violate copyright. They're trying to buy time, no pun intended.
But in the meantime, right now, those watches are banned. The latest models, in fact, that includes the Series 9 and Ultra 2, only in the United States. Those are the models that just came out last September. But the Apple Watch SE, that's the cheaper version without the oxygen sensor, that is still on sale. And third-party stores like Best Buy, Amazon, and the like, they can still sell those Apple Watches as soon as they get through their inventory, but Apple cannot sell from its own stores.
That's really interesting. So if third-party vendors can sell them, why can't Apple sell them? Maybe the way it works with a third-party vendor is that they've already purchased the watches. So I guess it's about new sales. So like it makes sense. When they go through their inventory, then they'll be sold out and they can't sell anymore because they got it from the first party, Apple. Apple, being the first party, cannot sell them at all anymore. They already sold them to the third party. Okay, I get it. And let's see, Apple Watch import ban impacts 2% of total Apple revenue. Each week that Apple can't sell the Series 9 and Ultra in the US, it will lose about $135 million in revenue. And you know what? This watch is my most expensive watch ever. This watch was like, what, $800, $900? I know, but, and also here's something else. I'm not trying to brag or boast. I'm just saying, I'm talking about money here, the numbers that they're going to lose. This has a subscription on it. It's like $10 a month from my provider. Now, I don't know if Apple gets a taste of the subscription money on top of my phone plan. I'm not sure if they get a taste of that money, but if they do, then that will impact their money as well. Absolutely.
Now, what can this mean for Apple's revenue impact? Morgan Stanley analysts last week actually estimated less than 2% of Apple revenue would be affected by this ban if it goes through the entire March quarter. And Apple would be missing about $135 million in sales for each week the ban continues. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot of money at Apple scale, but every little bit counts as Apple struggles to return to top-line sales growth again after 4 straight quarters of declining sales, guys.
That is a big amount of money because that's going to impact your stock price as well. So if you have a lot of Apple in your portfolio, this is going to affect that for sure. If they are projected to lose 2% in revenue because of the Apple Watch ban and $135 million per week that it's been banned, that's going to definitely impact your stock price for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about, Steve, whether the Apple Watch is a big seller this holiday season or has been lately. Any kind of, I mean, obviously it doesn't move the needle compared to iPhones, but
of course.
How have sales been?
Yeah, it's usually it's a hot holiday gift, especially in the United States where it's banned. But it's also a very small segment. I think the last stats we have from Apple, Sarah, are only not even a quarter of iPhone owners have an Apple Watch. So they see a huge room for the watch to grow. But yeah, it's those most lucrative markets like the United States, like China, Western Europe, where the Apple Watch is mostly sold. Those are the countries, though. No changes have to happen. They will still be able to buy the Apple Watch. Canada, Mexico, overseas, it's just the United States right now, and Apple is appealing, trying to work through this, and also trying to make those technical changes in order to get it on sale. But if they can't do it, like I said, 2% revenue growth, or 2% of revenue on the line here, Sarah.
Yeah.
Now, what might happen is they may end up making a different version of the watch specifically for the United States, and other parts of the world will continue to have the same piece of hardware that's not going to be affected, because I suppose the company that has an issue, they don't have jurisdiction in other parts of the world to be able to file a copyright claim. I guess that's how that works. Maybe the other countries would say, okay, we're not going to sell it, but I doubt it. I don't think that's not going to be how that works. I don't think.
And the part of the appeal is some of the health metrics of why you would need to wear it on your.
Yeah, that's an interesting argument. They're kind of saying, look, this is a health element to it, too. I'm not sure the courts are going to buy that one necessarily. Also, in that appeal they just filed today, kind of making the argument, this is going to kill our business. I'm exaggerating, of course, but basically saying this is an emergency. They need to ban it or bring the ban down now.
That's just people talking. That's just lawyers talking, trying to get their money back. But yeah, that's what's happening with the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Apple Watch Series 9, you cannot buy it from apple.com and you can't go to the Apple store. But you can get it from third-party vendors like Best Buy, etc., maybe even at Amazon if they still have it. But of course, since they announced this, there's going to be a run on the watches and you're not going to be able to buy them anymore. So, hey, if you have your regular Ultra, and I presume they still sell this one, the Ultra Part 1, but maybe they don't, because I think the way Apple works, as I close, is they want to tell you the new product. So can you go to Apple's website and get an older iPhone brand new? Maybe you can get the most recent one and maybe one back, or is it only the recent one? That's how they do. They want to keep you in the walled garden. See, look, I have an iPhone and an Apple Watch, but I don't have MacBook Pro, iMac, none of that. I've had it before. At one point, I had a MacBook Pro and an iMac. But now, I mean, the garden is so walled. It's so kind of unuser friendly. When talking about the computer market, I stick to my watch and my phone, and I'm good with that. I don't really go too far beyond it. So, hey, they got to tighten up. They got to figure it out. And if they keep having these issues and it kind of creeps up, like let's say I want to get a new watch in the future and I'm seeing more of these little issues pop up, I'm like, hey, man, I might need to get that Samsung watch and pair it with my Android phone and call it a day, because they don't have these kind of issues with alleged theft of intellectual property from medical companies. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what's going on here? Do you think that this is just, people trying to get money, some U.S. thing, Apple just making a mistake? Do you think it just stole it outright? How much do you think this happens? How often does it happen, in your opinion, where a company has a product and they just outright take from somebody without trying to ask, allegedly? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think somebody made a big mistake that wound up being theft, allegedly, because you can't just take stuff like that from a company, put it into your watch, and act like, oh, it's no big deal. And I think that the sensor came directly from the company Massimo, directly. I don't think the allegation is that Apple came up with their own sensor on their own, from their own R&D, and did not use the third party. If they took the third party's hardware and put it into their own watch, that's just straight outright intellectual property theft. And that's going to be a problem. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.